Morning.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, Tony, how you doing?
Hi, hi.
Martyn's just talking about that. Last time we were going to interview him, a gig came through and he ended up playing in Canterbury on a cricket pitch.
Yeah, I saw some of the photographs.
Yeah.
Oh,
It looked pretty cold there, to be honest.
it was freezing.
Was it?
Honestly,
How about your fingers? Were your fingers freezing?
I had a kettle backstage that I was warming them on.
Oh, yeah.
But it was actually great. I got there, they had about 100 people, obviously social distance, and they only put the word out 3 days before. I said, we'll never get a crowd, but they did. They were ardent MJ fans, and it stopped raining when they started arriving. It started to rain. It stopped raining just before I went on, and came back just after I finished. So it was actually great.
What's it actually like, Martyn, playing to a socially distanced crowd? Is that the first one you've done?
It is, yeah, it is. It was fine. I didn't have a problem with it. You just, it was outdoors, so I could step off stage and roam around a little bit within 2 yards of people, obviously, and connect with them and just do my thing. And I think people, they brought wine and soup, hand warmers, and I think everyone was just delighted to be in a group where
exactly. Just everyone just wants live music, don't they? Everybody, I don't know. Can I ask you a couple of stupid ones before Tony does the clever stuff?
Yeah, you can ask me anything.
Are you doing clever stuff?
You worked in the guitar shop, I'm the guy the other side of the counter. I got no chance.
Right.
In fact, I've been to a guitar.
He might ask me stuff. I have no idea what the question is.
You sprung that one on me, Martyn, I tell you.
You he used to work in Cranes, Martyn. I think you've probably been in there. Did you meet each other in Cranes, Tom?
We didn't really have much connection there, I don't think, because I think what it was is Martyn knew a lot of the original staff there. I think he was quite friendly with the manager.
Like Podesta and George.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But I do remember having a brief chat because I think he used to come in and pick out guitars. You obviously been asked by friends to come in and pick out guitars for their children who were getting into it, and you were advised to come in and try some of the let me say the budget end guitars.
Yeah.
How we're talking. It's
funny you say that, Tony, because I actually texted Mike Podesta this morning.
Did you?
Wants a guitar. that's kind of.
Yes, Charles. Thank you. My daughter just brought me a drink, which is really kind of her. Never happened before. It's nice, that.
Pretty good.
So talking about budget end, Tony, has this kind of fallacy in his head that I always want a bargain. I don't know where he gets it from, Martyn, really.
I think it's because he's tight with money.
Anyway, I bought a guitar this week, Martyn. Right, so I just want to ask you a couple of stupid questions about guitars. Yeah.
Yeah.
I bought a guitar and I bought it from the well-known website where you can buy and sell things, and it said it's brand new, right? But the guy was selling it, so you were immediately thinking, hang on, why is he selling it? So it's an Alvarez, okay? It's an Alvarez AG60 acoustic electric.
Okay.
I can see from your face you probably never even heard of this guitar, but it retailed at $450, and I got it for $230, which was good. When it turned up, it was brand new, had the tags on it and everything else. Came in a nice padded case, so good news. And then I tried plugging it in, and I couldn't get anything through an amp. I tried various ways, and the action was a little bit high. Anyway, just to get the story short, Tony's one of my go-to guys for guitar advice. So I tried a few things. Came down this morning, started playing. It's got an LR Bags element and preamp system in it, so it was likely to be the preamp. So I put it into an amp, and both my other electric acoustics play fine through an amp. It's just a Fender Champ actually, but I just put it through there, and it was quite a lot of static noise going on, and also the action's a little bit high. So I'm taking it now to a guitar shop, and they looked at it, and this is what Tony does. I always wonder what Tony does. I bet you do this, Martyn, when you look at a guitar. Tony does this weird thing where he puts the guitar and he looks like when I'm buying a car, has it got any dents? And he looks along the guitar and he sees things that I don't see. And the guitar guy said, "Oh, you can see he's got a big belly." and there's something else coming out here. He wasn't talking about me, and he was talking about the guitar.
You sure?
Yeah, I had my coat on, so I was all right there. But he reckons that he put some dehumidifier treatment on it, and that would do it. Does any of that make any sense? He said with the electrics, it's likely to be a wiring thing with the preamp. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, buying budget guitars. Would you have any advice for somebody in a nutshell like me, who's a bit of a cheapskate, looking to buy a decent guitar they can play through an amp or play okay? You know, what would you look out for, do you think?
Well, first of all, playing it through an amp is detrimental to the whole, especially if if it's an electric guitar amp, it's not going to sound great no matter what you do to it, because they're not designed to have the specific pickups that they use in acoustic guitars. It's a much more middleier type sound, and you can fiddle with the EQ on your amp, but it's never going to sound that sweet. So it's better to DI it maybe into your speakers on your. If you have a little studio at home, you'll get a much sweeter tone that way. Or buy, you can get the Roland Cube, and there's different amps that are specifically made for acoustic guitars today. So no matter how good it is, if I plug one of my guitars, which are obviously nicely set up, if I plug it into an electric guitar amp, it's not going to sound great. Yeah. First of all, second. Yeah, it's very difficult, and to be honest, I don't sort these things on my guitar myself. There's a guy called Elfin Jones who does all my guitars. He used to work in Cranes in Cardiff, but
I know Eltham quite well. His friends.
Yeah. And he's an interesting guy and a brilliant Lutheran and makes with guitars. But what Tony is looking for when he's doing this and that is we're looking to see if the neck is reasonably straight and doesn't have any bellies, as the guy said, or something. Never heard that expression before, but
leave two bellies, he called me.
Yeah. And the action, which is the distance between the string itself and the fretboard. I like my actions fairly low because and with electric guitar there's sort of less pressure on your fingers on the strings, but because the strings are thicker primarily on an acoustic guitar, I don't want to have to press too hard to get the thing down. So if the action is pretty high, as you said, then that can be a problem. That can all be adjusted. It just depends on how high the action is, if it's because the neck is bent or simply because there's a metal bar that goes through most guitars and you can lower that or higher it with
Yeah.
But I wouldn't attempt much of that yourself if you don't know what you're doing. So it's good that you take it in some place that can take a look at it. But you don't have to spend a fortune to get a really nice guitar. Certainly hundreds rather than thousands. And when you've got it's a bit like cars these days. It's hard to buy a bad one.
Yeah, we were saying this the other day. Yeah.
Yeah, there were in the days. You'd say, "Well, I don't want to buy, whatever, an old
a larder."
Larder, there you go, or something like that. But larders these days are probably great. It's hard. It's the same with a lot of modern equipment, whether it's a golf club or whatever. It's come so far now that it's whatever you buy, it's going to be pretty good. Certainly if it's made by an established name. So especially if you're starting off or you don't take it too seriously, you just want to kick around a bit. There's plenty of guitars certainly within £400 that you can buy. Brand new that will do a decent job.
Well, that's the budget end of the market done. So I'll hand you over to Tony now. But just before I do, I guess Elton knows kind of how you like your guitars to play, Martyn. So he sets them up your kind of way, yeah.
He does, yeah. He sets them up, and he does all sorts of tricks. He even sort of puts little bits of he'll sort of the nut part here, or even on the bridge, he'll just put some padding underneath just to raise it slightly or lower it, or he'll file a little bit down just to bring it down, because it's a piece of wood. It's not like this perfect, each guitar is different and so has its own anomalies, and so you have to pander to that. But I like my actions fairly low so that I can wander around and not sort of have huge marks in my hand at the end of the gig because I've been pressing it so hard, which so I don't need to think about it. But and incidentally, if anyone is wanting to buy a guitar, who's watching this, he lives in the Cardiff area, I would recommend Mike's. He manages St. Mary's Street there, and go in and see Mike, and he'll look after you in terms of finding a decent instrument for whatever budget you have.
I just noticed as well, Martyn, there's one guitar which will slightly nullify what I'm going to say, but it looks like you've got your guitars kind of almost in height order behind you there.
Oh, that's my kind of AP. Yeah, I've got the way. So, yeah. So, well, not really.
Almost.
This is the Loudon here, and then
yeah,
I have other guitars splattered around the house. I don't. At the moment, I can't.
Yeah.
I can, yeah. So this is a Strat that I bought. Ed Noble's music. Do you remember?
Oh yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And then this is a Telecaster. This is my 12-string Takamine.
Nice.
Tuned down a whole tone, but I've had this since 1990. Same with a Gill 12-string here. This is a Spanish guitar that my grandparents bought me when I was 10 years old. When I started to learn all that stuff. This one is really interesting because it's I remember when I first came into the studio with you and Tony that I brought this in. It's a 4-string.
Yeah, oh, that's lovely too. Well, that's okay.
One of the things I was going to mention, you were saying earlier on, Steve, about in the shop they look to see if the guitar was bellied.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean the neck, it means the soundboard.
Yeah.
So what happens sometimes on some guitars is the soundboard raises because of the tension on the bridge, and it'll slightly lift it. And when you look, it sort of gives you this sort of, you know, like a portly belly sort of effect. So, yeah. So I mean, well, the guitar will match the man, I suppose. But
thanks.
the point is that could cause issues later on. But sometimes it takes a long time for that to happen. So
yeah.
Yeah.
But he's trying dehumidifier on it, apparently, which I never even knew you could do.
Well, I think Martyn will say exactly the same for me. But he's already mentioned this. What people got to realise that the guitars are made of wood, so they absorb moisture or they lack moisture. One or two things. So I think what a lot of people we used to find in the shop, they used to come and say, "Oh, my guitar's suddenly gone out of tune, or I can't play it so well, or whatever." Whereas because the neck moves and you know, moisture makes a difference. So I think a little bit of care, a little bit of reading up on it, and you can, you know, make that situation a lot easier. But definitely look into about humidity with guitars. Definitely.
In your where you got those lovely guitars, Martyn, do you kind of keep an eye on the temperature, or do you use a dehumidifier in the room or anything?
No, I don't, to be honest. You know, obviously in this room, my studio is we live in an old house with stone walls, and it stays pretty cool in the summer. And I'm a cold, you know, so I have the heat on. So,
yeah.
I'm more concerned sometimes when they go in on planes and stuff, you know, when I'm traveling abroad. But so far, I've not really had a big. I've traveled sometimes with a band where, you know, they've opened up the guitars and the necks are snapped and all this. Sort of stuff.
God, yeah, you don't want that.
You can buy some pretty great cases these days.
Yeah, is that what you do? Is that how you protect them? Is it just to do it?
Yeah, I've got a Kevlar case that the Loudon travels in, which is the case itself is £1,000.
Whoa.
Yeah, but literally you can drive over it with a tank and it won't. It wouldn't affect the guitar inside. You know,
wow. It's
worth it if you've got an instrument, you know, of this quality and value. Then you know, if you can, it's what I do for a living, so it's like anything else, you know.
But, of course.
A lot of things can be fixed, especially if you get a really good craftsman on it. So I'm sure they'll sort your guitar out for you.
Yeah, I hope so. And hopefully at a good price, of course. But just to say, Martyn, the other thing is, here's again from the kind of, you know, ground up kind of perspective, I suppose, trying to get a good sound through an acoustic electric on stage. You said about putting it through the PA. Do you put it through a DI box? Is it some sort of gadgetry, or what do you do?
I'll if I quickly unplug this, let me just move. So I'm going to show you this in a minute, but
I noticed you always had, when I saw you, for example, at St. David's Hall and Level 3, had a fantastic sound. It was just great.
This, I'm going to show you a lot of gear that I have, but this. If I only took one thing to a concert, it would be this. And this is a preamp made by John Orchid, Orchid, down in Somerset. Lovely fella, just works out of his house and makes fantastic electronic stuff. And this is a preamp that he worked with Steve Knightley from Show of Hands on developing a preamp for acoustic players and just asked Steve, what do you need? Basically, when you put your instrument, an acoustic instrument, into a PA system or into an amp or whatever it might be, the big enemy of a DI'd acoustic is the middle. And the middle frequencies. So this basically, I can't really see myself here, so I hope.
We can see.
Right. So this is great. So this, first of all, it runs off phantom power, so it doesn't need batteries. So you plug it in with a balance line here that goes in, and this red light will come on when the guy on the desk has switched on the phantom power. So that red light comes on. There's also a mute switch here. So I can mute the guitar and change guitars very, very quickly. I use a wireless system that's plugged in via this. So it means that all I've got to do is press that, boom, change the guitar, and I'm back on again. So you don't get that nasty clunk if you pull the thing out. So that mute. Yeah. You've got volume, obviously, just to control how loud. So I put all my guitars through this when I'm on stage, whatever these guitars I'm using, including the electrics. So if one guitar has a bit more output than another or less, you can change the volume. You're not reliant on the guy out front to turn you up because you've got some control, which is unusual for an acoustic guitar. Because if you plug it into a DI box, that's really all you've got, unless you've got a volume control on the guitar itself. And I don't. Well, actually, I do. That's not true. So this is basically my setting. The low end there. We wind the middle down, and that's about it. And that's the setter that I have this in, and it really makes a beautiful difference. Even when I'm recording in the studio, I will have stereo mics on the guitar, but I will DI the guitar too to get this lovely low end sound and just bring that into the mix a little bit. This really is the source of everything I do. So as I say, if I only had one piece of kit, they said you can only bring one thing to a gig, I would take my Orchid DI box.
So that allows you to travel around the world and wherever you
absolutely, are. Yeah, and I'm not reliant on it. I can even if it's if I'm playing a festival and the engineer guy he's already EQ'd 8 acts that day and he's a bit pissed off and fed up and wants to go home and see his kids. I know that I can almost sort myself out as long as there's a fairly decent overall system going on. So DI me there, give me phantom power, and I can, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, that doesn't give me any effects or anything, but it gives me a good sound, which is the most important thing.
So the kind of XLR connection on the front, is that coming from the desk into that? Or is that your guitar going in?
Desk goes in there, right?
Yeah.
So
and the guitar goes, okay.
Guitar's in for input. There's also a little thing out for a tuner there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I use that. This has actually been modified for me so that I can actually go through my effects and send my effects out in stereo. So basically, it's a little complicated, but I basically get the phantom power from the desk through this, and then I return and send from this into my effects, which then run in stereo out through the PA system, so I can have nice wide effects, which I can demonstrate a bit later. But basically, that's one thing. They're great. They're about 250 quid, which it's not the end of the world.
Even I might consider that.
Well, honestly, they're fantastic, and a lot of people playing fiddle, all sorts of any DI'd instrument, with the mic now are using these, especially in the folk world. You go to most festivals, and most people got one of these as the hub of their system.
So the mute switch is it? Do you mount that on your mic stand? So that's
the other great thing about it. It comes with this on the side. It comes with a bracket, and that just sits on my microphone stand.
Yeah.
At sort of waist height, so it's by there, and I can just do in and do that, and it's all accessible.
Because I noticed you doing that, and I wondered what it was. It must have been that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's Orchid Electronics. Ask for John, lovely fella down in the West Country. And
can I use your name, Martin, to give me 10%?
Yeah, you'll probably charge him more.
Oh, that's great. Thanks for that. That's brilliant straight away. Yeah, what a great bit of kit. I'd never even... Have you come across that stuff, John? The Orchid stuff?
I haven't come across Orchid. I mean, I understand the principle of what Martin's talking about, but that sounds like a really fantastic piece of kit, definitely, yeah.
Because I think a lot of guitarists at our kind of level, it's quite hard to get a really good sound, from an acoustic sometimes. There's so many things, which so many kind of imponderables, really, with that.
The middle is always the harsh. The low end and the top are what they are. But if you can get the engineer to take out the sort of high end nastiness, that's when it'll smooth off and sound a lot more natural.
Thank you. Tony Chapman, who knows about guitars, might ask you a question.
Well, I know a little bit about guitar. He's building me up a lot here, Martin. We've already spoken briefly before about your Loudon. I mean, maybe you can just tell us a little bit, because that is your main sort of workhorse. Some people might not have heard of Loudon.
Sure.
And the reputation of his guitars, him as a guitar maker as well.
Give me 1 second. I'm going to go and get another guitar from the front room to show you.
Sure.
Yeah,
no problem.
All right. So this is my Loudon that I bought in 1984. And she was the main stalwart of my career for, let's see, 84 through till, I think I stopped using her about 4 years ago. She played about 2,500 gigs, I worked out, hence all the damage that's been done here. In fact, the original pickup was there. I don't know if you can see that, where I ripped that out. I was just saying, really, that when you buy an acoustic, listen for the acoustic sound first, because you can always change the pickups and whatever. That can be secondary. Other stuff can be put in. So I went to I went to Belfast to play some shows, and someone said, "Have you heard of Loudon Guitars?" And I hadn't. So someone arranged for me to go down to the factory, and I didn't meet George that day. I think he was away, but I met his staff. And they showed me the guitars, and they were, even then, fairly expensive. But they found me, there was this one, it was a reject, had a fault in the back of her neck by here, which she still has to this day. I think this was 1984, and I paid £400 for this one as a second. I don't know what this is worth now, but it's not for sale. But it's George is he started making guitars as a young man and had some success, built up a business, and I think he had a little bit disillusionment with stuff, and he decided to sell the company, and it reformed under a company called Avalon Guitars, with the auspice that they had to carry on using the methods that George was using. But after a few years, I don't think he was too happy with some of the product that was being put out there. So he decided to form Loudon Guitars again, and it's gone through the roof for him. He works I think it's near Hollywood in Belfast that his factory is. And he works with a lot of young Luthers, young people. I've been to the factory and met them all, and they're just all young kids that he takes on and trains them to make these incredible guitars. He plays a part in every single guitar that they make. At the moment, they can't make enough of them. They've had a huge success recently because Ed Sheeran was introduced to George by some of the members of Snow Patrol. And of course, Ed's played this little Gibson thing, hasn't he, on stage for years. And he asked George if he could make a guitar that size. So George made something called the Wee Loudon, keep the Irish sort of thing going. And Ed loved it enough to basically put down the Gibson and pick up the Loudon guitar. So he's now playing Loudon guitars. There's two models they've made. Ed wanted one to be sort of affordable to people. One is at £700. The other one I think is £1,200. They're not cheap guitars, but they are the most beautiful, well-built guitars with the most care put into them I know of. First, certainly on a large retail way.
What wood do they use, Martyn?
Well, there's all sorts of wood. I mean, spruce top on this one, my main one, and this is this beautiful wood. If you see the
nice
cap of the tree through
it's
there,
stunning. Yeah,
it's gorgeous. I mean, that's a Zeracotta. George only sources eco-friendly wood in that sense. Is very keen on the impact on the environment, all these sort of things. But he just makes these stunning. I'm not sure if this microphone will.
Not bad, yeah. It sounds. I mean, the guitar sounds beautiful.
Yeah. Literally, it's
yeah.
So yeah, these are the main guitars that I use. If you're looking to make an investment in a guitar, or if your great grandmother has left you a little bit of money or something, then you won't go wrong. And if you could afford an Loudon, I would say buy one. And you can pick them up secondhand sometimes for about $1,000 here and there. Keep an eye out, but they're fabulous guitars, fabulous guys as well.
I was just going to say that when I did work in the shop, there was massive variety of acoustics, but it was always a Loudon that I wanted to pick up and play. As I mentioned to Martyn earlier on, it's just got the life to itself, and the balance of the sound is just superb, really is. You can tell that there's so much care taken over it, and that's comparing the Loudons to some of the best guitars on the market, So I think it obviously comes highly recommended for Martyn, but from my point of view, I thought it was a superb guitar as well.
I just seen one in Reedy's, by the way, the Sheeran by Loudon at 629. So yeah,
oh, there you go.
Not too bad. Not too bad.
They're like these little parlor guitars. They're very small, so great to have hanging around to pick up and have a go.
Yeah. The other thing that I wanted to ask Martyn about, he's told us a little bit about Loudon, but you can see that he's positioned now in his recording studio. So I think another question we get asked a lot is, how do you record your acoustics? So, is it something that you plug in? How do you set microphones up? Do you use both of them? And I think if Martyn could tell us a little bit about how he records, it'd be really interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I was a bit of a dilemma because when I play live, I always stand up. So it depends on, if I'm recording the vocal at the same time and what sort of vibe I'm going for. So sometimes I'll sit down, sometimes I'll stand up. It's important not to have a squeaky chair, otherwise that picks that up as well. But so what I would do is get sort of two sort of condenser microphones like this, and position these on a mic stand. In terms of position, so probably not too close, because you have to work on the EQ of boom, boom and stuff. So probably give a little bit of air, a little bit of distance. And then this one here will point at about the 12th fret, if possible, as you can, around about here on your guitar, to pick up the sort of brightness side of things. You'll get slightly more volume on this one because it's going to point towards the sound hole. And then you can blend the two and you can pan them left and right in your mix and get a really big guitar sound if you want to do that. Or I might just end up using one. I might just end up using this guy because, it just works better or whatever.
Sometimes, what mics then, Martyn?
What's that?
Sorry, what mics do you use?
These are SE Electronics. This, I don't know if you can see that behind me. This is their big Gemini 2, which is
vocal
valve microphone.
Yeah.
But again, it's because of who sometimes. And I knew the guy that was distributing these products, and So I was able to get hold of some of them at decent rates and stuff. But you know, you can't beat good microphones. These are not expensive. As such, I think they're about I don't know, 300 quid for the two of them, something like that. You know, so obviously it is expensive, but if it's a job or whatever, you know, it's horses for courses. And also the DI box that we talked about earlier, I'll take a feed out of this because you might as well. And I'll take that and I'll put that, sometimes, you know, there may be an effect and I'll record that with it, or I can always feed that back through. But if I've got that dry DI'd sound as well, sometimes it's got a lovely low end and I can just bring that up slightly into the mix, and that will just add a nice little bit of thump to the guitar that the microphones might not quite have. The other thing sometimes I'll do is combine the two sounds. Instead of having it left and right, I might want the guitar on the left-hand side or the right-hand side to make it natural of where, you know, in the audio sound landscape. So I'll just pan this microphone over to that one and combine the sound, the sounds in a closer environment. Basically, this system gives you a lot of control over the sound in the end of what you can do with it. So all my options are there. I can have it big stereo or just a narrow bandwidth, and I've got 3 recording sources that I can go between to get myself a decent acoustic sound.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
I think the 2 microphones make so much sense as well. Is because I think what some people might miss out is the noise that your left hand is making. You want to actually get that sound of your fingers on the frets and on the strings as well, so it sounds natural. That's right,
Tony. Absolutely. Did we when we lost these visual, did we go down these guitars? Did that all work out in the end? Did you get that, or was it lost?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so. Because we were talking about the Santa Cruz after you'd gone, and I don't know if
didn't hear about the Santa Cruz, I don't think.
No, I think you're right there.
Well, I'd have to go. I could go down them again quickly. Do you want me to do that just to make sure we've got it as a proper segment?
Tell us about your Santa Cruz, Martyn.
Well, you'd have to. You could tag. No, you could put that on at the end if you want. I can just.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. Okay. Just that.
I mean, if I record it now, you can put it onto the end of the other sequence.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah. Thanks, Martyn.
Sorry.
All right. Yeah. It's
just
tricky.
To cover the bases.
This online stuff is weird, isn't it?
Yeah. I'll tell you what. I'll go from the tenor guitar. So remember, I did a bit about my grandparents with the Spanish guitar.
Yeah.
And then we'll go for the tenor now.
Okay.
Right? You can cut this. This is a tenor guitar, 4-string, which I think I brought into the studio with you guys when we did a first podcast. This was made by a lovely fellow called David Oddie, who sadly passed away last year, but his son is still making them. Council House, again, down in the West Country. It's all happening down there. But 4 strings. Sounds better when it's in tune.
I recognize those chords, I think.
So
wow, so playable, isn't it?
Kind of cool. They came about at the turn of the century when banjo players were being drowned out by the sound of brass instruments, so they wanted a bit more volume in the room, so they started playing these tenor guitars. At least that's one explanation I've been told. But it's kind of cool, and I get shapes on it. I'm not a particularly great theorist as a guitarist, so you know, if I put my finger, you just get shapes that I wouldn't know where to find that on a 6-string, because it's just, you know, so it's kind of cool to get all sorts of different things with it. So
it really adds a different dimension, doesn't it? Totally.
Yeah. And then I want to talk about this in a minute too, which is the pickup system that I have in all my guitars. For you, but this is a Santa Cruz guitar. Made in Santa Cruz. I went there and always try and go to the factories. I met the guy who makes them, a guy called Richard Hoover. And it was at the time that my Loudon guitar was beginning to sort of, look a little bit weary. And I said, I need to replace this at some point. And in the end, I bought a new Loudon. But he made this guitar for me, which is their sort of, one of their flagship guitars. Beautiful artwork on it and stuff that he does. And he did this as a surprise, but he put my initials on the fretboard.
Fantastic. Yeah, really cool.
So so that's and that's I tuned that down a whole tone, down to so if I'm playing a D, it would be a C, to give it that rich low sound. So,
and is that a spruce? That's a spruce top as well, yeah.
Yeah, it's a spruce top. Yeah. So but there's lots of other ones in storage. I don't count them very often, but.
But those would you be your go-to guitars, for your recording or for your touring.
Yeah. And there's, as I say, there's a few other scattered around the house, and I have a few, just ones that I've had for a long time that I find it hard to get rid of. I probably won't use them again. My original black Takamine guitar I used to use in the 90s, and I've got a bass guitar over there. So got one or two. Not hundreds though. I think I've got about. I probably got about 20, 23, 24 guitars.
Yeah, that's about the average, isn't it?
I don't think that's exuberant, is it?
It's not excessive at all, really, is it? No.
It's not what it makes a living playing one, anyway.
Yeah, exactly. That is tools of the trade, isn't it? Exactly. Yeah. Unfortunately, we've lost Steve as well, so I am recording it this time. So. Okay. I think what we could do, if it's okay with you, if maybe we just talk a little bit about your pedal board electric setup, and then I think we probably would have enough for a program then, because I don't want to keep you all day.
All right, Tony. Yeah. But so what I'm going to do, Tony, is I'm going to I've set up a different tripod down here.
Sure.
Hopefully, so you can see the situation, and
okay.
And I'll talk, but
okay.
And I'll yeah.
Can we just mention as well the Bose systems you use on stage as well? Don't have to go into great technical detail, but I think it's interesting when people see you, they just see the Bose columns, and it's pretty bare, but they just do a fantastic job, don't they? Really, and it's coming to the fore more now, isn't it? So
yeah. Do you have do you have the ability to be able to put photographs into these things?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that.
Okay, well, I could send you this. When you mention the Bose, we'll ask the question again, and we'll do that. But you could put the Bose on as a picture just to show people of it.
Okay, brilliant. Yeah, I'll look into that. But if you can get the photos, that'd be brilliant.
Yeah. So do you want to ask me the question again, and we'll do it then?
Okay, so we'll do the Bose system first, is it? Okay. So one of the things I'm interested in talking to you about is, I haven't seen you play live. Is the system that you use on stage, which I know is called a Bose system, but some people might not be familiar with it. I mean, it looks, well, I think they're more commonplace now, but it doesn't look like piles of speakers on stage. You don't need that, obviously, if you're a solo artist. Just wonder if you could just mention a little bit about your PA system setup you use on stage.
Well, all this stuff, Tony, for me is about trying to create a sound that is that I like. That tone is so important for me. If I've got good tone, if everything sounds good, I feel free to be able to create and to be able to give the best of myself. So I got a little tired after a while. You go into you never know where, if you're doing a tour of theaters or clubs or whatever it might be, you never know. There's always that apprehension about, unless you're bringing your own sound guy. But even then, there's the apprehension about what gear do they have? Is it going to sound all right?
Yeah, of course.
Isn't it? You just can't get a decent sound. And then some years ago, I played through. It was in Canada actually, a concert in Calgary, and I turned up. And I went on to the door, and there was this stick on stage, and I said, "Where's the PA?" And the guy said, "That's it." And it was a 300 seater. I said, "You're kidding me? There's no, And he said, "No." So I plugged in, and this thing was amazing. It basically, you have these two sticks that go into one another. They're about I don't know, 8 foot tall, or 7 foot, maybe something like that. And there's 24 little speakers in which are all pointed at slightly different angles. So it's a bit like an array system when you go into say the CIA in Cardiff, or the Motor Point Arena, now it's called, and you'll see the PA is pointing in all sorts of different directions to cover, and that's what this system is. So all these speakers are pointing in different directions, and they spread the sound at 180 degrees. So the sound is the same for someone 25, 30 yards that way as it is for someone in front of me. And the beautiful thing is, I hear that same sound as well, so I don't need a monitor. A monitor is the the black box that we artists have on stage, so that they can hear themselves because they can't hear the PA system that well, and it gives them the ability to hear what they're doing. Whereas this is just this beautiful open sound that I'm a part of as much as the audience are, in terms of hearing exactly the same thing. So I love the idea that it doesn't suit everyone, but it really fits into what I do. So I now use the Bose system, the Bose L1, and I have 2 of these things, as in left and right, but you don't even have to set them up parallel. You can have one a little bit further back so I can hear it a bit better, and one front like that. Or you could put them in any part of the auditorium you wanted. And I don't know how Bose do it, but it's somehow just produces this fantastic sound. And I've never had a complaint about my sound since I started using them. Everyone just says, wow, it sounds great, and you can use them in sounds that in a space that has a lot of reverb, like a big church or something, right down to a studio that's as dead as anything. And we take these on a van, a guy sets it up. I don't even use a front of house engineer, because the sound is just there every single night. And it just takes a huge weight off my mind in terms of apprehension. I wonder what the sound's gonna be like tonight. I know what the sound's gonna be like every single night, and it works terrifically.
Yeah, I think it's a great advantage. I mean, I used to sell the systems as well, and well, they used to sell themselves basically. It's a no-brainer because you just get this fantastic sound. You don't get any feedback. You can hear what the audience is hearing because it's behind you as well. You don't have to do with monitors, and you can sort of dial in whatever tone you want as well. So, I mean, that's a big plug for Bose, but there are a lot of alternative systems out there now that are very, very similar. Yes. I think a lot of manufacturers are caught up with it. But I mean, the reason I want to mention it is when we do get over this crisis, that, if you want to go out and play live, those little systems are fantastic for small venues.
And they do them in various, you can get an even small one for busking on the street with and stuff. But,
absolutely.
I can play up to 600-700 seaters with that thing,
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So
it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's a little bit about the PA system, and of course, you do also play electric guitar on stage, and I know that you have quite an interesting pedal board setup. So I just wondered if you could maybe show us that and talk us through a little bit of the pedal board.
Yeah, I will, but I don't play much electric. I use the pedal board for my acoustics.
For your acoustics as well, yeah.
Oh, definitely, yeah. So yeah, let me show you. Okay, so I'll go through a few things here.
Okay.
I play wirelessly, Tony.
Okay.
And this is my wireless. That goes into this here, which is the wireless receiver. It also acts as a tuner. In fact, let me just plug my guitar in here. So you can see I'm tuning there.
So there's a nice clear tuner on there as well, yeah.
Yeah, so that's good. So I'm unmuting here the Orchid, which I told you about earlier on. You see the red light there?
Yeah, yeah.
That tells me I've got phantom power. When I unmute, I'm now live, that goes off. So I know that that's right. Okay, so right. Can you hear that okay?
Yeah, that's coming through loud and clear.
Okay. So basically that goes, all these pedals are into this thing here, which is a Boss E58, which is an effect switching system. So basically, as I press one of these buttons for different patches, you'll see the different pedals changing for whatever I've set up for any song.
Okay.
So if I change to a song called Driving Her Back to London, I press 4, that changes to London. You get a change here. This one changes to organ. So basically, I can program into here whatever I need to play.
Okay.
So that gives me the ability to change songs very, very quickly. You know, so
Is that
you won't be able to read. Go on.
is that based on MIDI? Is it like got a MIDI connector in the back, or
All the pedals are connected by MIDI. So as I press that says Cardiff Bay, it changes. As I press that,
great?
you can see them all changing. So it just gives me a lot of flexibility very, very quickly on stage to go through patches rather than change every pedal individually.
Yeah.
I just press one button and we're away.
Okay.
So let me explain what these things do. So here we have, I'll go this, I'll start here. This is a Roland delay pedal, and it's got one preset that I've always liked. If I just do this, all right, sorry, if I do this.
Right, okay. Yeah, like a trailing echo, yeah.
Now, that is very, very subtle, and I have it on when I'm often picking guitar. And you won't notice it doing that, but what it does is create this sort of...
Yeah, lovely.
Now that's that pedal, but it's as I say, the effect on its own doesn't sound great. And if I turn it off, it doesn't quite have the...
No.
When I put that on, I get this... So I often use that one set in there for when I'm picking like that. Then we have this super octave pedal. This adds just a subtle amount of low end to my acoustic guitar. So this is the guitar without that on.
Yeah, you can hear that, yeah.
So if I'm, playing on a big system, or if I'm playing a big festival, when you put that on, it literally sounds like I've got someone playing a blues salon. This is a Flint Strymon, which is like a tremolo pedal. So here's the sound without it. That's the little tremolo guy there. Now, this one is an H9. This one is incredible because this pedal basically has about 300 of these inside it.
Right.
You can only play one of them at any given time.
Okay.
But, it means it gives me an awful lot of different sounds and stuff that I use. For instance, if I click on my preset number, something that says Luxury. Luxury is the name of the song, Luxury of Despair. Now, this is where this comes in. This is connected to the H9 pedal, and that effect will only come on when I press it down, engage it, in other words.
So that's like
it's like a volume pedal. It'll bring up the volume.
That's like an expression pedal, I think. Is that the right term for it, perhaps?
That's right, yeah. So, for instance, here, no, sorry, here, if I bring this up, we get that delay sound.
Right,
here,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, again, it doesn't sound much, but here's, in this context, listen, this is without it, and this.
Nice effect.
Take it out. So again, it's just subtle effects that add that sort of bigger ambience, as it were, and almost begin to make you sound more like a band than just a solo.
Exactly.
Another one of my favorites with this is something I programmed in here called the organ, and it just provides this sound. As I'll bring it up gently.
Yeah, you can hear that. It's subtle, but it really adds so much to the sound.
Exactly.
Mm.
And so that's something else I use quite, not just sparingly, you know. I use it one or two, and people say, "Oh, what's that?" You know, and it just appears once during a whole evening or whatever.
Mm.
Let's see. So I would have songs like this is a song called "This Glass," and I will have delays in here. So, so the delay is in time with the song. I've programmed it to be in time, so I get that. And then, so that's the H9, very powerful pedal, all sorts in it. And then this is the Strymon Big Sky Reverb. And I think if I only had to have one pedal with me, it would be this guy.
Strymon, yeah.
So this, I've got if I press number 1 on my pedal board, this just brings, this is the only one working. So it's just, there's my basic reverb sound. Get that right, but then you've got also, you know, you can I've got it programmed to do, well, that last song, This Glass, it's on a bigger patch, and I won't bring the delay in now, but you'll just hear the reverb. It's like this longer reverb.
Yeah.
If I combine that with the organ sound, I can get a really big sound in the room like this.
Yeah, that sounds great. I mean, I think it just shows that if you just add a subtle amount of effects, you don't have to overdo it, do you? It's
That's right.
it makes such a difference to your sound.
It does. It's just bits and pieces. So, you know, a lot of the time, you know, I'll just be playing with just, you know, just straightforward, just a little bit of reverb and guitar, you know, but I'll certainly bring in different things at different times. And I don't have to do too much work because I've already programmed them. So I just press one of these buttons, or I can go up a bank. I can have 150 out of these things, and just have them at, you know, at a glance. And of course, you know, you get used to it, and it becomes second nature in the end. But these also, sometimes I'll come into my studio and I'll just mess around with the sounds, and they can give you a kind of a vibe, you know, that you wouldn't have got just playing the guitar without the effect. Sometimes an effect will take you down a road where you'll actually find a song within it. But
totally, I guess it's about creating an atmosphere, isn't it, for your songwriting as well?
Yeah. So yeah, that's the pedal board.
Brilliant. Thanks. Well, thanks for taking us through the pedal board. I think it's interesting as well, because people might not think of having pedal boards being an acoustic artist so much, you know, but as you've already displayed that, it can make such a difference subtly to your tone and to the sound of your performance.
Absolutely. No, you know, as long as you, some people a lot of people, you know, there's the looping thing as well, which obviously Ed Sheeran has used. And I again, if I very rarely do that, but if I do, it'll just be one song, you know, just to keep people guessing and think, oh, that's great, you know, blah blah blah, and what is that? And then, you know, that's enabled me to I can still stand there and I can do it hopefully without any of the effects.
Yeah.
But what it does is I'm trying to give people like the best night I can possibly do in all sorts of ways. Ultimately, I want them to come to a show and feel like they're not alone in the world. You know, I can do that without a pedal board, I hope, because I've been doing it for 38, 40 years now.
Yeah.
But this just adds to the theater of it. It adds to the artistry.
Yeah, the artistry. Yeah.
Of it all, you know, and so, and I love experimenting with this stuff, and I'm always looking through that's come out, what does that do, you know? So there's an awful lot you can do, but you've got to do it subtly, not be over the top, although, and you know, do it once or twice, otherwise people are always doing that thing again, rather than just, you know, once.
Yeah, otherwise it becomes a little bit, I suppose what you could say is a trademark, isn't it? Where you get, or he's using that effect again. I suppose it's more to add color, isn't it? Really, to the context.
That's a great way of putting it. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, you're adding color
Brilliant.
to it.
Brilliant. Well, thanks, Martyn. I mean, it's been an absolute pleasure for me to see inside your studio, your pedal board, your guitars. Tell us a little bit about you know, your creative side of it with the gear as well. I mean, we've got this little series called Gear Guru where it's great to talk to people about this, and also I think sometimes it encourages people to experiment and do things a little bit differently. But so it's been an absolute pleasure. I mean, we've had a few technical issues today, but we've soldiered on through it. Yeah, I mean, if we can be locked down with COVID, we can soldier through a Zoom meeting, can't we? You know, of a recording of sorts. So we'll manage with that. But I mean, I really appreciate your time today, taking your time to show us this, and let's hope that we can get back on the road again soon, all of us. But of course, the important thing as well is to check out your website as well. I believe that you're doing something with some of your old demos at the moment and some of your old music.
That's right, Tom. What I'm doing is I'm taking on a whole new venture. I don't know if any of your viewers, listeners will have heard of Patreon, but it's a new platform that's coming about where artists, not just musicians, but writers, videographers, people set up a platform where people can support their work on a monthly basis. And the idea of what I'm going to do is set up a hub. To be honest, I've sent out a fanzine for the last, since 1996. We've done 72 editions, 3 a year, with a free CD, and we've kept this going. But sadly, the person that's worked for me for some 15, 16 years, Nikki, is she's got long-term COVID and has had to retire. She's one of these long-term. It's wiped her for 6, and so we've been rethinking the whole thing. And I think it's time to go. We can build a greater community hub by doing this Patreon thing. It means that I load up stuff. I've got all sorts of stuff that I've been going back through DATs and stuff. And some of it's really interesting. Or if I write a song today, I can put it up there straight away, all sorts of things. And it's going to be a way of people supporting what I do to help me carry on, hopefully creating community around this guitar. And as a way to just interact with them on a much more regular basis. Poetry, interviews, I'm going to do some podcasts, all sorts of things as a way of just strengthening what we do. There's a lovely sense of conversation that has gathered around my music now in 40 years, and I'm very blessed about that. I have some people who've been following me for a long time, and they're wonderful, and it seems, and I'm humbled that they find the music plays an important part in their life. So this is a way of increasing that, at the same time allowing me to hopefully be able to pay my bills.
Right, it just sounds like a fantastic idea. So if people want to get involved with that, is it to go to your website?
Well, we're launching this on November the 1st. I'm not sure when people will be watching this, but from November the 1st, if they just go to Patreon, Patreon, and just search my name, Martyn Joseph, and they'll be able to look at the door and decide if they want to come in.
I think it's a great idea. I mean, I really wish you all the best with that. It's such a difficult time for musicians at the moment, and we're doing our best to try and keep a community going, and it's difficult, but you can only do what you can do, can't you? So I think it's a great idea, and hopefully people will really get involved with that.
What you and Steve are doing, it's great too. I really enjoy these chats, and I don't mind investing the time in them, because I think everything that we can do right now just to be in touch with each other, and to just have these sort of things where art is able to communicate at this level. Who knows? Just someone seeing this today, a kid might pick up a guitar and the rest of it. So you guys are doing a great job of facilitating some communication with people that allows these ideas to get out.
That's so kind of you to say. I mean, we put our heart into it, really. we don't get paid for anything, and we you know, I'm not pleading poverty or anything like that, but we don't get paid for doing it. We're looking at ways to support, and I think what we can do is support musicians. But I mean, everybody needs to be supported financially as well. So I think we have to look at ideas like Patreon and you know, live performers. I've heard this week as well that Zoom are going to be doing something where you can pay for live performances as well, some sort of add-on. So I think it's just what we're going to have to do until we can get back performing live. But anything we can do to help music, you know, particularly in South Wales, Wales, and you know, we'll put our efforts into it. But it's always an absolute pleasure to talk to you, Martyn. It really is. I really mean that. And thanks so much for your time today. It's been brilliant. Thank you.
Well, to you and Steve.
Okay.
Thanks.
Cheers. Thank you.